Secure attachment sleep training. What's that all about? Well, this is my ethos, this is my approach to sleep training and helping children sleep to the best of their abilities. Lots of people think that sleep training is somehow a distressing or a negative thing, something that ruins the bond or puts children in a position where they don't feel secure or breaks the attachment with the parents, and that doesn't have to be true. And it certainly is not true in the approaches that I use to helping children sleep well. Secure attachment means that your child feels loved, safe, responded to, secure, that their needs are met, and in no way do they feel fearful. So whilst it's not to be confused with attachment parenting, that's a different form of parenting, it also doesn't mean that children need to go through some form of fear or anxiety or stress or any kind of distressing upset in order to become a good sleeper. So what do I mean by secure attachment sleep training? Well, this is sleep training your child in a way that maintains a secure attachment, maintains that bond, and is always very responsive. So to do that, you need to make sure that you're not leaving a child to cry in a way that leaves them in fear. It needs to be obviously right for the right child. Some children need a bit more space than others. Others need you right there with them, and that's okay. So it's about working out what's right for the right child and at the right stages of their development. I'm not about pushing children or babies into trying to sleep beyond their capabilities. They all develop at different rates, but generally speaking, at different stages of development, a typically developing child will be capable of different levels of sleep skill. And it's really just about bringing out the best of them, getting them to sleep to the best of their personal ability. And so many parents suffer through awful sleep deprivation, massive problems with bedtime and night times, because their child isn't sleeping as well as they could be. There's no should here, it's all as well as they could be. And if that's you, and if you feel like, yeah, there's definitely more, my child could be doing better than they are, then there's room for some work there, there's room for improvement. And that doesn't, again, mean anything traumatic or negative. It can be all very, very gentle and responsive. So how would I employ a secure attachment sleep training approach? So you want to make sure that your child feels responded to, that their needs are met, and it's important to differentiate what a need is and what a habit or a desire is, because they are different things. For example, a toddler will often come out with all kinds of weird and wonderful requests, like, I don't know, to eat sweets in the middle of the night, or it could be something just really unreasonable, like repeatedly asking to swap teddies, or I need the toilet, I need something to eat, I need a drink, all kinds of requests and stalling and delay tactics that they come out with. And those aren't needs, they're not needs, but sometimes as a parent you kind of get sucked into, anything to keep the peace, but actually long term it doesn't. It just makes you and the child more sleep deprived, and all the knock-on effects that come with that. So those aren't needs. Needs usually they're very basic. They come down to being fed and watered, being dry and clean, and feeling loved and safe, and obviously fit and well. If they're poorly, then that could change things. So if you know your baby or young child has all their needs met, that they're fed and full, they're not hungry, they're clean and dry, that you're right there, so they can't in any way be feeling abandoned or unloved, you're giving all the reassurance and comfort that a parent or caregiver gives, then the needs are met. And then if your child cries or fusses, that they're being responded to. You're there to respond. That could be in any number of different ways, and there is no right or wrong to that. There's no precise formula that magically works, but there often is more suitable things for different children and different behaviours. But if your child is fussing and just needs to know that you're there, then some basic reassurance, some soothing, some comfort, and your presence alone is very reassuring. And people underestimate that. They think just sitting there is not doing it. They want me to cuddle them and rock them and hold them, and they want you to, but the need is already fulfilled because you're there, you're right there. And you need to give yourself enough credit for that. That is having a bigger impact than you realise. It is meeting that need. So, for instance, a baby then maybe is used to breastfeeding to sleep, and that's become a habit and it's what they do. Maybe your baby's fed, winded, full, clean, dry, ready for sleep, and they stir a bit and then they start crying again, and you think, oh, I'm gonna have to breastfeed again to get them to go to sleep. At that point, you're gonna know, well, the hunger's dealt with. I know, it could be bottle fed, any kind of feed really. You can then rest assured that, okay, well, the need is met. I know that my baby isn't hungry anymore. This is just a tool to get them to go to sleep. This is now what we're doing, has turned from a need into a tool or a habit or a crutch, something that you're using or that they're using to go to sleep. That's the difference, and it can be hard to spot at first, but once you get your eyes on and you start looking for them and you start really observing, then you'll see where the needs are and the actual wants, desires and habits are. Again, this can be very different at different ages, different stages, and for different children. And we are very much talking about getting the best of that child's ability for their own temperament, personality and developmental readiness. We don't push babies or young children into doing things they're not developmentally ready for. But you'll be surprised quite often what they are developmentally ready for, and that's the difference. So if you're a parent that feels like you've been suffering for far too long with sleep deprivation, and as has your child, and it will be affecting their health, their immune system, their development, your patience, your well-being, and many other aspects that it can impact, then it may be worth asking, well, could my child be sleeping a bit better? Is there room for improvement here? And there probably is. There really probably is. So it can be done, and it can be done whilst maintaining a secure attachment. And I think that's such an important message I really want to get across today. It's not as black and white as, well, you either suffer through, cuddle your baby to sleep, rock them to sleep, no matter what the cost. Now, for some people, there is no cost. It's fine. They're happy doing that. It works for them, and everyone's fine. Then there's no problem. Brilliant. There's nothing wrong with that. But for many people, it is a problem because it's causing much bigger effects because of the sleep deprivation and frustration and stress and other things that are breaking down around you. And if it is a problem, then you don't need to suffer through. And the other side of that isn't, well, then I must have to leave my baby to cry and it's going to be really traumatic and stressful and awful and we're going to ruin our bond and it's going to have lasting psychological effects. That's not true either. It's not two negative options. There is a happy, not even medium, a happy alternative. There's a happy option, a safe and effective option to getting your child to sleep to the best of their ability whilst maintaining a very secure, healthy bond, and really it's giving them that skill and helping them develop something that they actually need. It's an essential life skill. Learning to settle to sleep and therefore back to sleep is a learned skill. It's not something they kind of watch and observe and pick up and go, oh yeah, I can do that. They need you to help them and show them and guide them. And it's a hard thing to teach as well. And as parents, naturally, if our child expresses any kind of frustration or confusion, which they do as babies through crying, then we feel like we need to somehow magically make it stop. Actually, sometimes you need to help them work through it, reassure them, soothe them, and help them until they can do a bit more and a bit more and a bit more for themselves, until they no longer need you to help them do it. But initially help them as much as they need help, and then ease up until they can manage it all for themselves. So it can be so gentle and such a lovely place to be when you and your family, and especially your little ones, are getting the sleep that you all really need. So I hope that helps to give you some clarity on what I mean by secure attachment sleep training.